Good afternoon and welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC. I'd like to take a moment to welcome our Spanish-speaking neighbors at this time. Gracias por estar con nosotros hoy a las 3 p.m. con SOC. Si quieren acceso al programa en español, por favor marquen el número 426-436-6200, que es el número que aparece en pantalla. Cuando le contestan la llamada, por favor compartan el clave o el contraseña que empieza con 6, que es 627-682. Thank you. My name is Tammy Rivera. I'm the Executive Director and Lead Organizer for Southside Organizing Center, SOC, or SOC. We have been here for you, as I say every day, to remind those folks that are with us, but also for our new viewers that we haven't missed a day being here providing you services. And so you can reach us in all the ways that you normally did in the past, except for in-person quite yet, until we're all safe enough to do that. You can reach us at the number that appears on the screen, 414-672-8090. And Clary is on our phones always during this time, our veteran staff, to get you connected to the right staff or get you the information and referrals that you need. You can also email us at soc@socmilwaukee.org, and you can visit our website at socmilwaukee.org, where we have an entire page dedicated to information, resources, and actions you can take related to the COVID-19 or the coronavirus response. I'd like to let you know there's a whole staff behind making these forums possible. We have a long tradition of doing forums on critical issues in our community, and we have found a way now with the help of the entire team and some consultants to be with you every Monday through Friday at 3 o'clock. And so our communications manager, Marisol Diaz, is behind the scenes doing the production for this. Gabe Charles, our civic engagement manager, is learning that and practicing that. She has shared that load now here in production. We have Edith Chavez and now Marlene Zaran, our forum coordinators, helping to manage guests and do technical assistance. We have Andrea Rodriguez, our leadership coordinator, interfacing with you on live comments, all the rest of the staff on all the rest of our social media. And so very grateful for them, and letting you know that everyone here is trying our best to do continue our organizing. Before we start our program, I want to remind you of a couple of things. One is every day we give out a $25 gift certificate to a local business that supports SOC or is doing an incredible deed, a good deed during this stressful time. And so it's super easy to enter that drawing, and it's a win for everyone. You simply complete our survey, and it's on the screen there, but it's also in our comments. There's just a few questions. It just takes a little bit of time, and it's so very important to us. One, because we need to be in this with you and for you to be in it with us. And so giving us feedback on what's working and what's not and ideas you have is critically important. Another reason is that our funding partners require us to give you voice, which is what our mission is all about, and want to hear directly from you how things what things are going well and what things could be changed. And so we have to demonstrate that we have given you that opportunity, and we have certain numbers we have to reach, and then we have to share that information. So please do that. It's a super win. You could win $25 gift certificate. We're supporting our small businesses in the area during this time, and then it helps SOC demonstrate with our funders and for ourselves the things that we're doing well and the things that we could change. Before we bring on the recording from today, I also want to share with you that it is our motto. We have a vision and mission statement, and then we have a motto, and our motto is to ensure that you have a voice, that you have a vote, and that you have a vehicle to organize. And so we create safe spaces for people to share information. We don't always agree individually or as groups, and sometimes SOC, as the type of organization that we are, we cannot endorse certain statements. So with that, I'd like to just share a disclaimer that the views and opinions shared on this program in this forum don't necessarily reflect those of SOC. Now, we have an incredible lineup of folks we had so this week, and we do so for next week. You don't want to miss tomorrow's program. We have Jean Gerasi, the executive director of the Benedict Center, with us. And SOC and the Benedict Center have been in a strategic partnership for years, working on a diversion program for women involved in street prostitution. And you really need to join us on this journey to really understand the factors that play into women participating in this activity, how difficult it is to leave, and the struggles that they face, especially during this time. We all need to understand it better so that we can all problem solve. And then next week, we have a great lineup. We have confirmed yeses. Now we're just trying to figure out the schedule for next week. Great graphic, Marisol, love it, thank you. We have Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. We have MPS Superintendent Keith Posley. We have Emilio de Torre, the Director of Engagement for the ACLU Wisconsin. We have the newly elected President of the Common Council, Chevy Johnson, and he is confirmed for Wednesday. And we have Miranda Medina Lopez with us. She's a health educator for Wisconsin Women's Health Foundation, and she's going to share special programming that she has available for women and their families. You don't want to miss the great knowledge and experience that is being shared here in a very brief time of the day, bringing it directly to you. Let me say a couple quick hellos before we bring on the pre-recorded. We had a pre-recorded this time special guest, Marlene. Marlene is speaking the Kai. Marlene is our newest staff, and you're going to get to meet her next week. Alejandra Luisa Gomez. Yes, we are live. You were probably on the program before it started at 3, where we just put our banner up. And we just do like a 5-minute countdown, and we make it live so that you all have some time to join us and adjust, sound, etc. if you need to. Hola, Elsa. Great to see you. I was just talking to Andrea about you and Alas. We have some spots where in our Leadership Academy. I think it's a great match for some of the parents in your group. And so I told her to follow up with you, and she will, if she hasn't already, to give Alas a couple of slots in our Leadership Academy if you so desire. There's a whole process of referring and applying, etc. But I think that your group is a great match for our Leadership Academy on the issue of Latino ex parents with kids with disabilities. Hola, Diana Becerra. Hola, Jetty. You're so faithful, Jetty. I'm so glad you're staying with us. I see you folks saying hellos to each other. Hola, Stacy. All right, with that, I want to make sure that we give time for our special feature. And so we're going to share now a recording we did just like an hour and a half earlier than this, trying to match up schedules with Milwaukee's health commissioner, who was with us once again, Jeanette Kowalik.
Sorry about that. We were having technical difficulties. We'll return with this video soon.
As we have shared, this is a new venture for us coming to you digitally. We appreciate your patience. Yes, we're having technical difficulties, and we're going to work on that, and hoping to bring her back or bring it back online before the program ends. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to move to a couple of segments, and if we can figure that out, we'll bring it back. If not, I'll come back and share a couple of highlights from that discussion, and we'll bring it back to you soon, maybe tomorrow or Monday. With that, what we'd like to do is bring on our civic engagement manager, Gabe Charles. Hola, Gabe. Looks like you're on mute. See a little microphone.
Okay, you can hear me now, right?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
All right. So hi, everybody. Thanks for staying with us. Like we said, we're dealing with these little technical issues, but we will have that video for you, so please stay tuned. Yesterday, I talked to you all about a report that the Wisconsin Election Commission published that gave a deeper explanation about what happened and what went wrong with the absentee ballot processing during the April 7th election. So it was a very long report. But more or less what happened is that the issues were attributed to technical problems and server problems where there was a reboot of the statewide system used to process absentee ballots at the same time when locally the Milwaukee Election Commission was processing a batch of absentee ballots. So there was a reboot while there was processing happening of a batch of absentee ballots on March 22nd and March 23rd. So the 2,000 and about 600 absentee ballots that never made it to the people that requested them have been attributed to this technical issue for Milwaukee specifically. There were other issues that other counties faced, but for Milwaukee, it's been largely attributed to this technical issue. The Wisconsin Election Commission met yesterday to discuss the report and how they intend to address the issues that were discovered in the investigation so that this doesn't happen again for the remaining elections for 2020. And some of the changes that will be implemented are going to be to improve the absentee ballot paper request form. So make it more user-friendly, make it more clear, easier to fill out. They will also reduce the absentee request processing time required by the clerk's office. They intend to provide tools for clerks to communicate request issues to voters. So if there's something wrong with your absentee ballot request, they want to create a communication channel for the clerk's office to tell that to the person that requested it. And they will also provide training opportunities on absentee ballot processing for those that do the processing. So increased training for people that do that processing. In addition to those changes, we also received a $7 million federal CARES grant, specifically for the remaining 2020 elections in Wisconsin. And they intend to allocate this in 4 different areas. Give me one second here. They intend to allocate this in 4 different areas. One would be $2.6 million for postage expenses. So as we know, it is required of the Election Commission to provide return postage. So $2.6 million of this $7 million grant would be to offset those additional costs because there were so many additional absentee ballots requested for this election, and it is intended to be even more for the upcoming elections, especially for the one in the fall. Then we also have $2.1 million to be allocated for absentee mailing. What they have on the plate right now is a voter education program. So basically sending out all registered voters a mailing that explains the absentee ballot process and how to request an absentee ballot. Then we have $133,000 to redesign the absentee ballot envelopes. So it would make it more clear where the witness is supposed to sign, at what time the ballot needs to be returned by, what time and date. So that will all be made more clear on the absentee ballot envelope. And finally, $500,000 for sanitation and PPE supplies for upcoming elections. And actually, this last part is the only section that was voted on and passed unanimously during this meeting. The other three remaining ones, the $2.6 million for postage expenses, the $2.1 million for absentee mailing, and the $133,000 for the redesign of the absentee ballots, the absentee ballot envelopes, those were all tabled, so we won't know what the answer is on that until their meeting next week. And so there's still time to discuss and make changes to these proposed where they intend to allocate the money. And personally, I hope that the absentee mailing will just end up being mailing everyone an absentee ballot instead of spending that money to tell them how to request it. They're going to spend the money anyway. Why not just give everyone an absentee ballot? But that's just me. I'll leave my opinions at that. So yeah, we will know more in 1 week when they meet again. It's really exciting news that we have this $7 million federal CARES grant and that we can allocate it to make voter disenfranchisement way reduced for these upcoming elections. So with that, I will leave you with a census video and remind everyone that you should all be filling out the census. It's of utmost importance. And I will see you back here tomorrow.
Thank you, Gabe, for that update. I want to say some quick hellos. I saw some other folks I didn't get to mention come on after our initial. Hola, Maricano. I see you're back with us. Elsa, you're welcome, and we look forward to recommendations or nominations from your group. Hi, Cindy. Good to see you. If this is your first time attending our forum, will you put a thumbs up in the Facebook comments? And if you've come back, this is not your first time, this is your second or more time, how about put a heart in our comments? If you're new, thumbs up. If you're returning to the forum, a heart. We'd love to know who's new and who's staying on with us. We have a great youth organizer program where we take youth and their families and really get them focusing on leadership. And so the youth work on their personal leadership, their academic and career leadership, and their organizing leadership. And they get paid for work experience with us. We want to make sure that they have a great career, that they're, working on understanding what their life calling is, and where their passions are, and that they're learning to really walk in their voice and in their leadership in the community. With that said, this employment program is a partnership with Employ Milwaukee. The youth get paid for participating in the program. We have a year-round program and we have a summer program. And we're gearing up right now for our summer program. And they've extended the deadline for applications. So we want to make sure you hear about that. So I'm inviting Taylor Herrada, our youth coordinator, to share the details of that.
Hey everyone, my name is Taylor and I am the youth coordinator for Southside Organizing Center. Thank you so much for joining us on today's Community Live Forum. I have some exciting news. The Earn and Learn application has extended again for the very last time and is due this Saturday. Please get your applications in. If you are interested in having any of your youth that are ages 14 to 24 apply for the program. You must live in Milwaukee County and this is an entry-level youth employment summer program. I'm going to drop my contact information below in the comments. Please reach out to me directly as soon as possible so I can help you through the application process and guide you through what documents you need to get submitted by Saturday. You can reach me by email at taylor@socmilwaukee.org. Again, that's taylor@socmilwaukee.org, or you can call me at 414-207-8427, and I can help you walk through the application. Let's hear what our current youth have learned through this Earn and Learn youth program.
Earn and Learn is a youth employment program and provides youth like myself and young adults on entry-level work opportunities where we can get on the job skills. You must be age 14 through 24 to apply and live in Milwaukee County. Don't wait, because over 300 youth apply and only 150 people get accepted for the program. I'm submitting my application today.
Hi, my name is Kimberly and I've been working with Earn and Learn for a year. Earn and Learn helped me by talking out loud to people we don't know and to be respectful to other people.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I've been working with Earn and Learn for about 2 years. Earn and Learn helped me do things I would never thought I would do. For example, go canvassing and talk in front of people. They also help me be more responsible.
Hi, my name is Jasmine and I've been working with Earn and Learn program for about 3 years. Earn and Learn helped me to get on time for work, and also it helped me to learn about crime in our community and what we can do about it.
Hi, my name is Isaiah and I've been with the Earn and Learn for 2 years. One thing the Earn and Learn program has taught me to prepare myself for a better career is public speaking and better note-taking.
I am always the happiest when I see the babies, our youth organizers, on the screen doing their thing. And I had the privilege of seeing them when they entered the program and how they've grown. And it is just an incredible sight to see and a privilege to be part of. We're going to give our video with Commissioner Kowalik one more try with sound and see if it works for you. We won't take a lot of your time. We're just going to try it. If it doesn't work right away, we'll work on it and bring it back another time. City of Milwaukee Health Commissioner Jeanette Kowalik back with us. She was here before to help us understand this pandemic and what Milwaukee is doing to respond. And she's back now to give us an update. Welcome back, Commissioner Kowalik.
Thanks, Tammy. Thanks for having me back on.
And how are you feeling? Yes. How are you feeling?
Feeling a lot better. I'm on the incline, or ascending.
Ascending. Good. Glad that you can be with us. I want to recap a little bit the last visit that we had when you were with us, and then dig in from there forward. The last time we were talking was to help residents understand what was accurate information, what were myths, and what was misinformation. And so one of the big questions last time was, were the confirmed or were the reported coronavirus COVID-19 cases confirmed with positive tests? And last time you said that indeed any cases that were reported as COVID-19 were confirmed with a test, even post-mortem, even when people had passed, that you went back and were able to. Is that correct still?
Yes. So I recall, I think our very first press release when we had our first case, we had a reporter that questioned the terminology. We said confirmed case, but it really wasn't confirmed yet, because what they normally do is validate the specimen. So, it'll come up at the lab, the local lab, but then it's sent to Atlanta or to CDC, where they'll validate to make sure it's truly a positive test. So that was happening from the beginning to make sure that the testing kits that were being used are valid. Mm-hmm. And it's really important because we know there's been some misinformation about the quality and validity of tests. So.
Great. That's great to know. We want to make sure people are understanding what's being reported and what the root of those are. The other question that we had at that time was, how do the deaths associated with COVID compared to deaths associated with having a different contagious virus like the flu? And last time you mentioned COVID had a larger impact or a larger amount of death rate than the flu. Where do we stand now with that?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the situation we're in. So flu cases, normally if there's a death, anyone that's over the age of 18, it's not required reporting for national and states public health. They normally count pediatric flu deaths, but for some of that data is available in a limited fashion. So the fatality rate for flu is 0.1. So you can see how small that is, right? However, the fatality rate for COVID, and this is as of the end of April, so I'll have updated information within the next 2 weeks, but the city of Milwaukee's fatality rate for COVID is 19.3. And we always say that by per 100,000 people or population, which is extremely high. The state of Wisconsin's fatality rate for COVID is much lower. It's 5.4 per 100,000. And then the country has a high fatality rate for COVID. It's 19.9 per 100,000. And I'm sure a lot of that is coming from like the East Coast, New York City, where you've seen this explosion of cases where they are having a very difficult time keeping up.
And so that's important to know because people have been questioning. So if I understand you right, correctly, not all deaths associated with flu may be reported, or that flu was a component of the fatality. And so that might be a difference. However, there's still a significant number of our percentage for Milwaukee compared to Wisconsin, but not for the nation. So we're okay. And then we talked last time about, does Milwaukee have enough resources to respond to the pandemic? And certainly when we talked last, which I want to say is probably three weeks ago now, we didn't. How are you feeling about that now?
Well, we're getting better. I know that initially there were like severe shortages of personal protective equipment, masks, gowns, and whatnot. That has improved, but definitely there's still a need for more because, there's a variety of options that can be used. There's still messaging that is referring or trying to hold N95s or KN95 respirators or masks for healthcare professionals and first responders because they're most at risk by actually providing service to patients and people in need. So having the highest level of protection is extremely important. There's some technologies that are being used to sanitize masks so that they can be reused multiple times. So you'll see that messaging still holding true. And then the need for surgical masks, which are that fabric type of material. And then, of course, cotton or cloth masks, which is another option. Those are being pretty much promoted for people in general. Again, wearing a mask is meant for you to protect others from yourself. You may be a carrier of COVID-19 and you don't know it, but we're learning that there's more people that are asymptomatic. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But if you happen to be infected, just by breathing and talking, that you could be spreading it to other people through droplet. And, that's why that 6 feet distancing is important because they're looking at how far the virus can travel through that droplet means or see how it can be stagnant in the air. So if more people wore mouth coverings or masks, that could really help us kind of move forward as far as reduction of the spread of COVID-19, aside from congregating, which is, we know, a major way that people are being infected. We're seeing, more employer-related infections. So people that are essential, they're going to work and they're being exposed just by way of the type of work that they're doing. So we're dealing with a lot of that. addressing some of those outbreaks and shutting businesses down until they can demonstrate that they have safety plans in place, and also testing all of the workers at those facilities. So that's another thing. The testing piece has increased, thankfully. And the testing as far as the actual swabs that are used to retrieve the sample, and then the actual chemical components that are used to see if someone's positive or negative. So now that that's more available, there's more testing options. So you may have seen in the last week that there's a National Guard initiative that was a combination between the state and the health department to provide community testing at 2 sites in the city of Milwaukee. So there's one at Umos, and then there's one at Midtown. And both sites have been really successful. Since that initiative started last week, Monday, I believe, about 19,000 tests have been performed, which is fantastic. However, as you can imagine, with that volume of testing, there's some delays in getting results back to people. So the lab, they're using this lab called Exact Sciences, getting the information to the health departments where the people live so we can start the follow-up and whatnot. So there's been some delays related to that because of the volume. So they're actually planning on pausing next week so they can catch up on all of the data entry and notifications, and then revisit improved strategies to streamline that process starting the following week. But we're not sure if it'll still be at Umos and Midtown. They might move it to another location. But we like those sites. So just so you know.
Yeah, that's important to share with people. We've gotten some calls about people getting tested and not getting their results right away. And so the message, folks, is if you got tested and there's a delay, it's just because of the mass number of people getting tested. It doesn't necessarily then, Commissioner Kowalik, mean anything in either direction about the result, right?
Right. And normally, like what you normally would do in a situation is when you get the call, that means something's not right? Normally they call you because you need some type of response or services in a very immediate amount of time. Normally, if you're negative, then they'll let you know or send you a letter or something like that. So we're looking at different strategies to make sure that people that are positive are being notified sooner once we find out. Because remember, there's this lag now where we're not finding out right away, and we're having people call our hotline, the 211, and even calling other health department staffs work phones or office phones, and emailing, and just a lot of people are going on these roundabout ways to try to find out their results. So we're happy that people are engaged and they're getting tested, and we need more of that. But we also have to provide feedback to the state and the National Guard of ways for us to make this process more streamlined.
And then what can people expect in terms of a delay? Do we got a sense? Is it a week or 2 or 3 or?
So I know that there has been some that have been delayed since it started. They haven't received results. So that would be about almost a 2-week delay. I know some people have gotten theirs right away. I don't have the number that they call from, but I've had some issues with people that have missed a call and then they're trying to call back and they're on hold for an hour. So we got to figure something out, if it's even using like technology, creating an app or something where people can, consent to getting their information in that way, and just finding out, kind of like with the private labs like LabCorp and Quest, where you can download the app and you can get your test results when they're ready. So we made that recommendation. Can you make an app? So that'll help.
Yeah. That might very well be a good option for our residents. Following up another topic from our original discussion, the number of folks suspected of being infected due to in-person election. Do we have an update? I know the report came out, we shared it on the forum, and then we've seen some studies come out as well from some universities. What can you share about that issue?
Right. So we know that we had a very unusual situation on April 2nd, that there was an in-person election that was really condensed and scaled back. Speaking of waiting, people were waiting hours in line to vote. We were trying to provide some social distancing or physical distancing, as well as other enhanced cleaning and whatnot to protect people from being exposed to COVID-19. But as you can imagine, thousands of people, it's very difficult to do that, which is why we have the measures in place that we have. So according to the most current data that I have, which is dated the 6th of May, that there was 56 people that were positive for COVID in the county that had participated in an election, and that includes 2 poll workers and then 52 voters. And then 37 of them were in person and 15 were curbside. So, we had that option for people to vote, to drive up and vote. Some of these people were symptomatic before the election, so 26 of them were, and then 26 of them were after. So this is the importance of when people are a little under the weather, a little scratchy throat. Now that this losing taste and smell is a new symptom. Diarrhea, of course, the general symptoms that we had announced early on, which is fever, chills, shortness of breath, cough, any of those, muscle aches, sore throat, to stay home. You may have COVID, you should get tested. So just even by doing something that one may think that it's not a big deal, that you could infect other people. So the other point about this information is that, of course, when you have a pandemic and you're in an outbreak response, the type of information, the type of epidemiology that you can do is very limited because things are moving every day. So you have to be quick and be able to move things forward. So you don't have time to do like a full-on study, like a case control study, which is honestly like the gold standard. But in this instance, it's impossible. So we can't say that there's a cause and effect relationship, but we can say that there's a correlation. So, yeah. So that's the key, especially for people that are really into the sciences, knowing the difference between causation versus correlation. So, and that's like a whole thing of like repeating studies and getting the same results, and then statistically showing that there is causation, kind of like lung cancer and smoking, like how many studies had to happen for them to finally make that determination.
To confirm that. And would you explain to the audience what epidemiology means?
Sure. So epidemiology, I would say, is using numbers to inform disease prevention. So in essence, it's a form of statistics. So there's a variety of formulas and functions that we use. Like I talked about fatality rate or death rate, for instance. So you look at the numerator is the number of people that have died, and the denominator is the total number of people that were cases, and then you multiply that times 100,000, for instance. So it's a lot of math, but it's used to guide disease prevention efforts. So there's various forms. There's different types of surveillance where you're looking at people's behaviors or movements. For instance, when there are like various outbreaks in the community that are related to like diarrheal illnesses, they'll look at like how much people are buying, like how many people are buying like Imodium AD or something like that. And they'll use like grocery store, your savers cards, and they'll pull data that way, and they'll see trends like on dates, and it's like something's going on. So it's pretty cool. If anybody's interested in the field of epidemiology, you're really good with numbers, maybe you want to consider it for a career, because we need more people, especially people of color, to move into this field, because it's very helpful to have that lens of when you're looking at data, that you're looking at it from a place of how can we use this data to make things better, and that you're not falling into this narrative of race causes X or ethnicity causes X, which is totally wrong. It's the ism that causes that, whatever was set up structurally, not necessarily because someone is Latina or Black or Native or anything like that.
That's good to know. I want to make sure our viewers are able to follow, the discussions that we're having and understand the definitions. And so, do you have a sense of where we're at at this time of the year, how many deaths compared to last year? Do we have more deaths overall before COVID? The same or less? That's one of the questions that frequently gets asked for people who are confused or people who are opposed to the responses that we have as a community to being safer. And so that would be great to know. Do we have more deaths, at this time of the year, cumulative from the beginning of the year, than we did last year?
Yes. So let me pull that up because I had it. And the answer is yes.
Okay, that's good to know, because that's a way to be factual about what's happening these days and combat any myths or misinformation or disinformation that's out there. Yeah. And then before we let you go, hopefully we can get to the topic of immunology and break through any myths there, or give people some information or guidance on how to address their immune system, strengthening or maintaining during this time of extra efforts.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. While I'm pulling up the death information, I'll talk a little bit about the second question. So someone that's immunocompromised, this is like my life, like keeping inflammation low to make sure my immune system can do what it needs to do. So I have to take a number of medications to help prevent further disability. But what that means is that it makes my immune system even more compromised. So as COVID has been going on, like I've had to fall back on taking all of my medications because I don't want my immune system to be too low to where if I am exposed, like it will really wreak havoc on my body and possibly kill me. So, that's a fear for many of us that have to take a variety of immunosuppressant medications, even for like people that are going through cancer treatment, which is why they're also listed as high risk, because technically that's what's happening is to try to fight that cancer. There needs to be some type of immunosuppression and then boosting. So the other thing that I like to remind people of is, your immune system's in your gut, and eating healthy is more important than we know. I know a lot of folks are going hard, comfort eating and all of that throughout this pandemic. But my recommendation is to think about moderation and what can you do to boost your immune system. So definitely basic stuff like vitamin C, vitamin D, since now the sun's out, definitely there's more opportunities to get some naturally, but taking it as a supplement. I take 20,000 units a week. So it's kind of spread out for me. And I notice a difference when I don't take it. My energy level is way lower. So talk to your doctor or someone that is a medical professional, not someone that says they are because they read something on Facebook, but definitely find out what will work for you. But that vitamin D is very important. I also take zinc supplements, and then fish oil. And now I've started taking turmeric and black pepper. So I do see some supports that way. But again, inflammation is something that is very destructive to your immune system. So how people talk about Dr. Sebi, there's a lot of things that he said that I think are very true, like mucus can cause disease. So things that cause mucus, like dairy products, animal products, things like that. I'm not saying to go vegan, you have to do what's best for your body, but having too much of that can create more mucus, which can cause more issues. Also, looking at inflammation. So sugar helps inflammation go up. And then alkaline, acid, is a balancer. So having the right balance in your body is really important. I always like people to pay attention to their tongue, to look at their tongue if they see a lot of white, like kind of like thrush or whatever it's called, where there's like a more of a coating on a tongue. That's like kind of an indicator about your health in many ways. So just look at your tongue every day, like when you get up in the morning, see what's going on. I use the scraper, and that also helps kind of with food absorption. But also, I talk about the supplements, but I think it's really important to actually get the vitamins and minerals from the food. So eating fresh fruits and vegetables, whatever you have available to you, just make sure that you're getting some fruits and vegetables in your diet every day. I know some people detest, the taste of vegetables and fruits. So whatever you can find that you like is a good start. But that, and then of course, drinking enough water. So a lot of illness is associated with being dehydrated. So if we're drinking enough water, it's going to be in our best interest. So I actually had an exercise in a class where we had to pick a health behavior to track for the whole semester. And I chose water consumption. And I had an app to, like, every time I had like a bottle of water, a glass, I kept track. And I realized I wasn't drinking enough by far. So I started being very mindful about it. And I did notice a difference in my fatigue and my alertness too. And then the last thing I would say is just basic sleep. So making sure you're getting adequate sleep, 6 to 8 hours, depending on your body. But some of us are out of whack right now because of being at home so much and not like having a routine. So figuring out a routine so that you can actually have to get up in the morning and get dressed and do stuff is going to be helpful. But lack of sleep can cause a lot of problems. And it also robs your immune system of being able to recharge overnight. So basic things, your food, sleep, water, and then of course the substances can make you more ill. So the alcohol, tobacco products, any street drugs. So I know some people are having a hard time with that right now because of the anxiety and whatnot of what's happening in the world. So I know that there's resources available for people that are struggling. They're seeing their tolerance going up and they're, or they can't stop using, that there needs to be some intervention. So whatever resources we can send to share would be really important before
We'll be mindful of that, and the staff team that's on with us can make note of making sure we share those resources. But that's definitely a topic that I'm glad you spoke to. Some questions are being raised about the efforts we're making to isolate and to sanitize are keeping us from sort of the mild levels of building our immune system. So what I hear you saying in general, make extra efforts to build up our immune system during this time. If you have that data, we'll move to that. Otherwise, I'll move to my next question.
It looks like the data I have is just related to homicides, but it was from the 14th. The medical examiner said that as of that date, May 14th, that there were 65 homicides to date, and last year there was only 38. So it's a 70% increase. And we know that there has been some violence that has risen up because people are at home and they're getting agitated. And
definitely. And we had a program on that as well, and we'll continue to. Domestic violence has spiked during this time, and being at home is safer in health-wise, but sometimes it's not safer in safety-wise for some families. And so we have combated that. We'll come back to that at another time and see if we can get those numbers about overall deaths to date. The last thing I want to talk about is we do have some good news to share together in terms of there have been some funds made available and secured locally. I'm aware that the Advancing Healthier, the help me out here, Commissioner.
Yeah, there's the two. There's Advancing Health in Wisconsin. They had another round, I think.
Okay.
And then the other one is the Healthiest Wisconsin Partnership Program.
And so I know that your people reached out to my people, and we'll be working together, doing some meetings to see how we can reach our disproportionately impacted communities of color. We have some meetings coming out to figure out how to best use those funds to reach people that don't get reached in other ways and in traditional ways. And so looking forward to digging in with you all on how to do that. And in particular, SOC will be working with 16th Street Community Health Clinic with the Wisconsin Partnership Program to reach out to the Latino Spanish-speaking community. So we'll have some other opportunities to share how we can be safer together in this time. The last question I want to leave you with, Commissioner, is we know that the Wisconsin Supreme Court struck down Governor Evers' safer at home order. We see that legal battle, and now that it's continuing in the rules pathway of the legislature. And then locally, the mayor affirmed and in association with you all, that we were continuing our Moving Milwaukee Forward version of the Safer at Home. But my question is, and the mayor was with us on Monday, and so we were able to discuss that a little bit, is what happens now that our adjacent Milwaukee suburban municipalities have taken a different path. And so we are so closely physically together. Do you have any response to how do we navigate? In Milwaukee, it's this way. Mm-hmm. And then all the municipalities, or even people are coming from farther out, how are we going to manage the difference in approaches to COVID?
Yes. So I'm glad you posed this question because, you know, definitely, and I mentioned this yesterday at the City of Milwaukee's Finance and Personnel Committee hearing, that this is politics, not science. And when I said that, I'm meaning not necessarily my peers, my other health officers. I'm saying the people that are in charge of those jurisdictions. So the mayors and village presidents and councils, their legal councils, that there was some dialing back or a desire to dial back, although we had this desire to do this together, that we had already discussed how we're going to measure this. We're going to use these 5 levels. You know, we're going to be looking at cases, testing, care, personal protective equipment, and contact tracing. And we're looking at our progress. If we're moving forward, if those 5 indicators are yellow, so it's like a stoplight. Mm-hmm. If they're yellow, that means we move to the next level of orders. That some things loosen up, but not everything. Then we start getting them more green, which is going to take a while. Then we open up more stuff. You know, it's you know, a series. We can't just say, oh, well, we're going to just forget about it because people are bored or tired of it. COVID-19 doesn't care that we're bored. We know that we're being most impacted by this. Our communities, our Latinx community, our Black community. So we have to make sure that we're protecting those that aren't able to do so. We know that there's been historic injustices and disinvestment in many of our communities. So the mentality of the vulnerable have to just figure it out and take care of themselves is very, very destructive. And we don't subscribe to that in the City of Milwaukee. Our leadership, that we're going to do what we need to do to protect those that are not able to do so. So that's the difference. It's a different philosophy in the suburbs for some of them. I'm not saying all of them. No, some of the suburban jurisdictions that are putting the onus on the vulnerable to take care of themselves. But if you think about it, you're looking at different parts of the county where there's more affluent communities. People have the resources to, you know, get their groceries delivered and stay at home and, you know, homeschool their kids without any issue. I mean, there's a lot of have and have not going on at this point in time. So we're committed to holding the line and using the science to guide how we loosen things up. And I know it's going to be challenging because, you know, you can just go across the street and you're in another jurisdiction and go to, you know, the bars or whatever will be open as of midnight tonight. But we're saying we're looking out for our people. That's the position that we're taking on this. So we're not going to like set up like, you know, a wall and have the law enforcement surrounding us and like not letting anybody in and out. But, you know, we're going to enforce, and especially, you know, we have some businesses, like I said, some businesses where people are getting infected just by going to work. So it's going to make things more complicated. I honestly believe that, but
your presence, we're glad you're doing better. And we especially appreciate the subject matter expertise that you bring in for our residents. We look forward to having you back as we move forward in this process together as a unified community in Milwaukee. Be safe, Commissioner, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, you too. Always a pleasure.
Adios.
All right. Adios. Bye.
Thank you, Marisol, for fixing that technical difficulty and bringing us the interview with sound. So grateful for you. I want to go back and see who answered our original question, who's here for the first time, and who's coming back. And to say hello to folks we didn't get an opportunity to say hello. So our return folks, we asked to put a heart in, and we got hearts from Lillian Ramos, Jetty Several, Lily, I am here, God bless Zach, Maricano, Malaya, I didn't get to say hi to you earlier, has her hearts, Lily, some more hearts. Brenda Campos is joining us for the first time. Bienvenida, welcome, Brenda Campos. So glad you're with us. We got a lot of feedback and hoorays about the sound. Thank you for that encouragement and being in it with us. We're learning. We appreciate your patience and that you're helping us with your encouragement. Hola, Mari. Mari has a question. What about masks? We didn't get to ask that, so we have a continuous question sheet. I understand there's some controversy about that as well. Mari says the only study I saw showed they are worse and that a new study should be done, but that they may not provide some safety. Cloth mask was the study in a medical setting. Also, she's saying understanding cultural norms as well. And so we'll ask that question of further subject matter experts, asking them about the controversy surrounding masks. And then Mari's asking natural or like homicides. What do you mean by deaths? So I'm going to share a little bit in a second, Mari, about what information we got from the commissioner after that interview. How did you feel about the Supreme Court decision? We didn't get to ask her that. I mean, she talked about it a little bit, right? Mari, healthy food is medicine, correct? And that's what she said. Mari's saying she's a smart woman. She really likes her. Malaya, yes, gut health. And so, yeah, she shared. I really appreciated that she shared her own personal experience and directed us, of course, to medical professionals. Yes, fruits, vegetables. What's turmeric for? Don't know. But we can make that a follow-up question. Lemons, Mari is sharing with pH levels. Lillian saying turmeric helps blood sugar levels, so sharing amongst each other, juicing. Lillian sharing that we're very worried about the aged population. I'll share some numbers about COVID and the elderly as well. Mari saying even immunizations or vaccines with elderly is complicated. Elsa, very good advice and information. You're welcome. That's what we try to do, is bring subject matter experts to you all to cut through, right? The myths, the misinformation, the disinformation, and the debates. Like, let's get the information out there and folks can, you all can decide for yourself what to make of all the political fights, all the medical debates, etc. You're welcome, Jetty, for having the commissioner on. A couple of more, and then we'll move to the last section. Hola, Jody. Jody and I went to high school together. Mari, that her and Pancho. Hola, Pancho, we're listening. Yeah, we had to record the interview with Commissioner ahead of time just because of scheduling conflicts. Claudia mentioned inflammation. So appreciate you guys engaging with us, and I'm noting these. We have an ongoing list of questions, concerns, and comments about the spring election and the upcoming fall, and about COVID-19. And as we have experts and authorities on, we're asking those, trying to bring you all the information that we can. Let me share some of the information that Commissioner Kowalik gave post-interviewing. She was faithful in sending us that. So I asked, one of the questions about COVID is, are we in fact experiencing more deaths year to date, this year in 2020, than we did in 2019? Because that would be a fact to help us determine the risk of COVID, right? Because there with some folks, there's a controversy about, how much COVID is impacting us. So one of those questions related to overall deaths, and then you saw me ask her. The other question is there's a debate about, is COVID causing more deaths than like the actual flu? So she answered that, but at that time we didn't have all the numbers. So I'm going to share them with you now. And when she comes back on, we can talk about it some more. So just comparing 2019 and 2020 numbers, and I'll give you all the deaths reported that she shared, not just the ones we think associated with COVID, so you have full information. Homicides. In 2019, to date, there was 39 homicides, and this year we have 67. So she shared that that's dramatically up this year. In terms of accidents, I don't have the definitions for you right now, so I'm sharing what I have in hand. Accidents, last year there was 309 deaths due to accidents, and this year there's 355. So homicides and accidents up. Natural deaths, which would include where we categorize deaths with positive COVID tests confirmed or validated, as she shared. Last year at this time, there was 912 deaths attributed to natural, and this year there's 1,309. So there's a difference, an increase of 397 deaths from last year. So that's a pivotal question when you're trying to navigate how true is all this stuff for those who are having some doubts. So she shared that there was, out of that increase, 246 of them have been tested and confirmed, validated positive with COVID. And then in terms of suicide, last year to this time, there was 50 deaths, and this year there are 48. So the difference, subtotal, from last year to this year of reported to the health department deaths, last year there was a total of 1,310 to date. This year there's 1,779 to date, a full increase of 469. Now there's two subpoints here. Is one, there are still some pending cases of deaths, and two, she says the majority of natural deaths in the whole county happen in hospitals and in hospice care and are not reported to the Milwaukee Health Department. So those are keeping that in mind with the statistics, and we're going to continue to dig into those things. And Mari said she's been digging into studies and not news articles, which I assume you mean news articles. All right, that's what we have for you. This is a continual discussion. That's why we keep coming back Monday through Friday. There's so many things to talk about, so many people to hear from. Let's move on, though, for today and head into our communications section. And so I'm going to ask Marisol Diaz, our communications manager, to join us now.
Hi, Community Forum. Reminding you of our daily $25 gift certificate drawing by filling out the survey located in the comments section. In the following day's forum, we'll announce the winner. It's a quick 5-question survey, and you can enter daily and win daily. Thanks for those of you who have been filling them out, and thanks for tuning in. Now let's find out who's today's winner.
Congratulations, Elsa Diaz Bautista. You won the daily drawing for a $25 gift certificate. Please email us at soc@socmilwaukee.org to get your certificate to you for a local business that supports SOC or one that has done some great deeds in the community during this time. I see, Mari, that you have a question. The numbers for 2020 are higher than 2019. So we have, again, about 469 more deaths this year by this time than last year. So the number has spiked up. In terms of the category of deaths where COVID would appear, that appears in the category of natural deaths. Last year, there was 912. This year, there's 1,309. So this year, there was an increased number. It was 397 more deaths this year. So far, 246 of those deaths for this year have had a positive validated COVID-19 test. And so this year, more numbers than last year. So I hope that that is that clears that up if I left it at all, confusing. Okay. I want to share quickly with you who's going to be with us tomorrow and next week, because you don't want to miss it. And then we'll share our thank yous. Next, tomorrow we have Jean Gerasi, the executive director of the Benedict Center, and we have a strategic partnership with them on a program, diversion program for women involved in street prostitution, very concerning to us, care about those residents in our neighborhood as well, and want to help solve those problems. Next week, we have a commitment from several people. We haven't accommodated what day they're going to be on yet, but we have Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. We have Dr. Keith Posley, the superintendent of MPS. We have Emilio de Torre, the director of engagement for the ACLU. We do have our newly elected Common Council President, Chevy Johnson, on with us on Wednesday. And we have Miranda Medina Lopez, who's going to be talking to us from the Wisconsin Women's Health Foundation. And she's also one of our interpreters, our main interpreter for the forum. But she's going to be talking about the programs that are available for wellness and health for women and their families. So you don't want to miss any of these days. They're really important. I want to thank you for being with us. Thank you for engaging and communicating and being here, and remind you that we're very thankful for your partnership. We're thankful for our other partners, as I've mentioned earlier, and we're also thankful for our donors and funders who have supported our existence. It's our 30th year anniversary this year, and those who have been especially accommodating and supportive, giving us funds to be here during this COVID-19 pandemic. So we'll leave you with our thank you video, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock with SOC.
Hello, SOC viewers. My name is Angel Hope, and I'm a youth organizer at SOC. We would like to thank everyone for supporting our 3 o'clock at SOC Live and for completing our SOC survey. In addition to that, we would also like to thank our sponsors: Wisconsin Voices, Community Development Block Grants, Neo Philanthropy State Infrastructure Fund, Movement Voter Project, Catholic Campaign for Human Development, Zilber Foundation, the City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention, Tides Foundation, City of Milwaukee Promise Zones, all of the faithful individuals who support SOC through their personal donations. Thank you.